Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everyone is having a great start to their Thursday, despite the weather outside. A little rainy today. Because of that, TD still stuck in a little bit of traffic. So it is a TD Thursday, but Turron Davenport is not here currently. He will be here any second, and excited to have TD on. We're going to talk about the Titans game last week against San Francisco, getting ready for the Chiefs on Sunday. Again, kind of a strange game against Kansas City, especially considering they will not have Patrick Mahomes, and they will not be in playoff contention for the first time since 2014. And as we speak of him, Turron Davenport walks into the studio and will be with us for the full show. Again, talking Titans, your chance to talk to TD is coming up at 10 a.m. So make sure you get your questions in. Our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. And Turron Davenport has made it into the studio. TD, what's going on?
Man, it is treacherous out there on Murfreesboro Pike, boy. I tell you what, when it starts raining, it seems like select people, their cars don't go over 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, the first drop that hits the windshield, people just forget how to drive sometimes.
Unbelievable. But hey, I'd rather make it a little late than not at all. So here we are. My apologies.
It's all good. You made it here within the first minute. So
you owe me push-ups.
I got you. I definitely got you.
TD, you were out there in Santa Clara on Sunday. Titans, kind of a similar performance to what we've seen the last couple weeks. The offense actually looked pretty decent, but the defense couldn't get off the field, especially early in that game. But let's start with the offense. The run game actually working for the second straight week. And Tony Pollard over 100 yards for back-to-back weeks. They were able to get ahead of the chains. The offense puts up 24 points for the third time in 4 weeks. It's actually starting to look more competent on that side of the football.
It is starting to look more competent. And, if all else fails, run the football. And I think that's what they're learning. This is something that we said they needed to do after that really good drive against the Jaguars. Of course, it didn't end in a touchdown, field goal, but it was still a very good drive. They ran the ball. I think Pollard had 36 yards on that first drive, and then it just carried over into the next week, and it was just a dedication to running the football.
Yeah.
Now, against Cleveland, it was a different dedication. It was like, we got to make sure that Myles Garrett doesn't ruin us, right?
Right.
So that was the reason why they ran the ball and stuck to it. And also it worked. And guys, Corey Levin was blocking really well. Kevin Zeitler had a couple nice blocks. Downfield, you had Gunnar Helm, you had Van Jefferson. These guys did a great job. But then this past week, they just stuck to it again.
Right.
And it was more of like a keep away from the 49ers because of that offense is potent. Now they ended up scoring a bunch of points anyway, but it was to stay in the game. They ran the football well, and I think that was a good way to approach it.
Yeah, it was tough defensively on Sunday. Christian McCaffrey, they limited him running the football, but that opened things up for guys like Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle.
Route,
and they scored on their first 3 drives of the game. We're up 17-10 at halftime. And then to start the second half, 4-play drive to score a touchdown right out of the locker room. And then their second drive, they go, 95 yards to score again. And at that point, it felt like it was pretty much wrapped up.
Connor and I talked about that drive on talking with TD this week. And, the thing was that 95-yard drive, they made a sandwich of 3 and outs around it.
Right.
That's so uncomplimentary football, right? The defense gives up a long drive, offense 3 and out. I think it was like 1 minute and 34 seconds that one drive was. They had three plays for 5 yards, I think, or 7 yards. And then the series after that 95-yarder, it was 1 minute and 54 seconds, and it was 3 plays for negative yardage.
Yes. So 3 plays, 4 yards for 1 minute 30 after the 67-yard touchdown to start the half.
Mm-hmm.
Then the 49ers go 15 plays, 95 yards, 9 minutes and 14 seconds. Titans go -5 yards in less than 2 minutes.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you have the drive summary in front of you, the first play of that second drive, Pollard gained 6 yards. Then the second play, he gained 5 yards. And there was a blocking above the
by J.C. Latham.
J.C. Latham.
Yep.
You know what? I feel like Rain Man. It's definitely time for Jeopardy. Definitely time for Jeopardy. Oldies 98. Wham. The
Yeah,
future of
you're
rock
like
and roll.
you're like Sean McVay when they're like, can you remember this exact play? It was
Yeah.
3rd and 14 against the Chiefs back on November 12th, 2017,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh yeah, we the dig came in on the dagger, and
He's like a computer. It's crazy.
Yes. So the block above the waist knocked it back. It was 2nd and 15. Cam was incomplete to Van Jefferson. Chig got no gain, and then they punted right after that.
So there you have it right there.
Yep. And the defense, it's tough to say that you don't expect it with some of the players that they had to put out there. I mean, no one expects 3 safeties to go down in the first half. You lose Xavier Woods, you lose Kevin Winston, you lose Mike Brown, and guess what? All 3 of those guys now done for the season. So could be a tough go of it for the Titans defense the rest of the way, especially considering what they already were lacking in the secondary.
And also Cedric Gray when he had that collision with George Kittle.
Right.
So that's another one. I don't believe he practiced yesterday. So
I believe he did not.
Yeah.
It was only a couple of guys that didn't practice yesterday. It was Cedric Gray and then
Van Jefferson
Amani Hooker was sick. So just a couple guys out, but obviously you lose those 3 safeties and they go on IR.
Yeah.
So not great. Did get a couple of guys back, and we'll talk about this a little more later on in the show, but good to see Femi Oladejo and Bryce Oliver back on the field. Those are 2 guys that could use just a little bit of momentum boost heading into the offseason after missing so much time.
Yeah, the Bryce Oliver situation has been strange, man. I mean, the Rams game, that's when he went down, and hadn't really seen him since. He looked pretty good moving throughout his routes and stuff like that yesterday. And there were a few times where, he practiced before going to IR where he looked like he could move too. But for whatever reason, he was on IR. They opened the window. I would be surprised if he's not back. I'm curious how that's going to work because Xavier Restrepo returned to the field too.
Right.
So I would imagine they want to get him in there. So it's going to be interesting how they juggle that with Mason Kinsey. Mason Kinsey had a good play against the 49ers, by the way, when he downed the punt, the Johnny Hecker punt. I think it was
that led to the 95-yard drive.
But anyhow, so just how they shuffle the receiver. Van Jefferson had the back injury, really good catch by him to go up and, snap the ball out of the air, land on his back. I thought it was a concussion because, he hit his back then his head. But nevertheless, getting back on track with Bryce Oliver, if he's activated, is going to probably cause like a little bit of chain reaction. But you got to get him out there. I think he is a guy. He's back, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 1-year deal, right? They brought him back on.
I think so.
They need to keep him. They absolutely need to keep Bryce Oliver because he still has something to give as a receiver in addition to what he's done as a special teamer, the outstanding play there. A nice big body receiver that you could use. He's really good on those slants and things like that. So you definitely want to give him, an opportunity to audition for this next coaching staff.
He is an exclusive rights free agent, so the Titans should have no problem bringing him back if they want to. And you look at the receiver room, I think there's room for him in there. Obviously, you're going to have Chim, you're going to have Ellick. But outside of that, there's not a whole lot of spots that are already spoken for in that room.
Yeah.
You're expecting them to draft somebody probably early, 1st or 2nd round.
You see Mekhi Lemon declare?
I did. Yeah. I did. And I know he's a guy you're looking at for the Titans.
Yeah.
I would expect there to be maybe not a big name free agent acquisition, but a veteran free agent acquisition. So Bryce Oliver, there's going to be a spot for him if he wants it, I would think, especially with what he does on special teams.
I think with Bryce Oliver, he could fill that role that Van Jefferson filled this year. Van is on a 1-year deal too. Depending on how things work out, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back as well. Now, I get it, folks. Chill out. I'm not saying give him, 3 years, $45 million. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying to have a guy, well, it's going to be a new staff too. But I still think to have a veteran in there, I think is – and Van works. Van shows these young receivers how to work.
Like Van Jefferson, it's not a sexy name to bring back. It's not like he's putting up huge numbers. He's made some plays, but if you were given a wide receiver room next year, and this is completely hypothetical of Carnell Tate, Alec Pierce, Chim DK, Alec Iamaner, Bryce Oliver, Van Jefferson. Like, that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Oh, but
Now,
you forgot a name. Xavier Restrepo.
he's not going away.
Yeah.
Right. Mason Kinsey, too. Got to throw him in
Mason
there.
to be around.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Lots to get into with TD. And again, your chance to talk to TD is at 10 a.m., 615-737-1025 if you want to text or call.
So I've been challenged for 3 straight weeks. Mike McCoy wants me to run the steps with him pregame.
Okay,
He wants me to run the stands. Yeah. I was he challenged me to do it in Cleveland.
Right.
I said, I'm not doing that, man.
30-degree weather? Yeah,
Nah.
no.
He said San Francisco, and I agreed to it, but I couldn't find him before the game. I know how to find him at Nissan Stadium, so it's going down.
And I think that makes it easier for you at home, too. Like, you don't have to worry about you leave the hotel in your suit. Like, how am I supposed to run stairs and then get changed and all that kind of stuff? So, no, I'm excited for that.
It's going down.
Are you going to get that on video?
You know what? I may wear the Meta.
There you go. Get the Meta glasses, or just have somebody record you and Mike McCoy going up and down the stairs.
I'm sure
at
why
Stadium.
they get it.
Somebody will get it.
Box, but it's going down. I got you. Mike McCoy, I got you, bro.
I am fired up to see this. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Coming up next, the big news out of yesterday's practice, Cam Ward saying that he wants to have input on the Titans head coaching search, that he wants to meet these candidates. We'll talk about the reaction to that. Do we think that Cam Ward should be involved in this process, and much more? We are off and running on this Thursday morning. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 102.5 The Game.
I want to meet all of them. Every coach who's going to get the opportunity to come here, I want to meet them, have conversations throughout the whole process with them, because that's someone that I'm gonna be here with, for that time. So we gotta just continue to, you know, me being around and being open to no matter whoever we try to hire. Because I know at the end of the day, who we do hire is going to be the right fit for us. Whether it's a defensive person or offensive person, they're going to make sure that every person, in the right place and make sure that every person is set up for success.
Conversations already with Mike and Chad about wanting to be involved with this, or maybe what some of the qualities you might want?
Yeah, I've had conversations with them about want to be involved. They know how much I want to be involved, and then especially just not even with the scheme part of it, just you know, as the head coach, who he is on an everyday basis, and then just then we'll get into the scheme, what I know I'm good at, what I want to do, what he thinks will also help me.
That was Cam Ward yesterday talking to media about his involvement in the head coaching search for the Titans and wanting to meet the candidates that the Titans bring in. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 the game. TD, you were out there while Cam Ward was making those comments, and you wrote for ESPN.com about it as well. I'm not sure why people are making a big deal out of this. When you draft a quarterback number 1 overall, he becomes the most important person in your franchise. And wouldn't it kind of be malpractice to just keep him completely in the dark when you're trying to hire a head coach? I mean, I would think that he would be involved and he would meet these guys. Now, I think people are taking it out of context and saying that Cam Ward wants to be a decision maker in this.
No.
There's a difference between being a decision maker and having some input and being able to tell Chad and Mike, like, hey, I really like this guy. That doesn't mean that they have to pick the guy that Cam likes the most. But if you're not listening to Cam Ward, you're doing him a disservice in the long run.
Yeah, it's like typically, look at a marriage, right? In a marriage, typically in a marriage, if you're making a big purchase, a big decision that's going to affect the whole house, you know what? Ultimately, the decision is going to be yours as the man of the house. But guess what you're going to do? You're going to consult with the wife. Because after all, they say a happy wife, a happy life. But I also say a happy man is God's plan. So that being said, there is nothing wrong with Cam Ward having some input into this. Let's say it's Robert Saleh, right? You want Robert Saleh to talk to Cam Ward and be like, hey, listen, I know I'm a defensive-minded head coach, but I got this guy with San Francisco that worked under Shanahan. I think he would be really good to work with. What is wrong with that? And it's just amazing to me, like in this world where everybody has this sense of entitlement, Cam Ward, who shouldn't have a sense of, like, this isn't a situation of a guy having a sense of, this is a situation of a guy being the franchise player, and you want to make sure that he's comfortable with the decision. So why is it such an issue? I have no clue.
And I think it's a good thing that Cam Ward wants to be involved, right? Like, it shows that he's taking ownership in this situation and saying that I know that this next head coaching hire is going to be maybe the most important thing that happens for my career and for this team's trajectory. Because if you get this head coaching hire wrong, Cam Ward likely is not going to get that big second contract.
Yep.
And this team is going to remain being one of the worst in the league if you get this head coaching hire wrong. So I'm glad to hear that Cam Ward is like, hey, I want to be involved and I want to talk to these guys. Again, it's not saying that Cam Ward is the one deciding and he's not going to be in the interview room for these guys. But let's say you get down to the finalists and you bring them in for these in-person interviews and, it's Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, and Matt Nagy, and those guys all come in. Not letting them meet Cam Ward and have a conversation with them, I feel like would be not doing your job as the search committee of, hey, we want to find a guy who is going to come in here and is going to elevate this team, and that starts with getting the most out of our young quarterback.
It says a lot of people like to say malpractice.
Right.
You want to make sure that the match, like, I'm sure when you met your girl, right, and you, before you proposed to her, you talked to your pops about her, right? I know you talked to her pops about her.
We have been dating since junior year of high school, so it had been a while. But yes, I did call her dad before I.
You see,
yeah.
So there's a process, there's an order of operations, and I think people have to understand it makes complete total sense. And this whole idea of who does he think he is, you know, some of the comments under when I posted the story is like, well, maybe he needs to learn how to throw a ball for come on. It's just it's a little excessive, but people are going to think what they're going to think. But he has every right under the sun to be like, hey, I want to be involved. Like, I want to meet the candidates.
Yeah.
Like, I again would rather Brian Callahan met with Will Levis.
Right.
It wasn't an issue. So, like, I don't get it.
And it's funny because if it was the other way around, I think the same people would be just as outraged. Let's say Cam Ward said, you know, when the season's over, I'm going to go to Cancun and spend 2 weeks there. You guys figure out the coaching search. I'll be back. I'll meet the guy when he gets hired.
He doesn't care.
Right.
Give a damn about this team.
Right. Why
that's
is he not invested in this team and making sure that we have the best hire? You can't win. But it's I think it's just because it's being said right now and Cam Ward was the one to say it. Yeah. I think if it came out after the hire happened, I don't think anybody, if it was like, oh yeah, Cam Ward met all of the candidates and he had a really good connection with Matt Nagy and they really clicked and seemed like they were speaking the same language when they were talking football. And I don't think it would have been a big deal, but because it's coming out now and it's like, oh, who does Cam Ward think that he is, thinking that he deserves to be involved in this process? Being involved, again, doesn't mean that, you know, Matt Nagy walks into the interview room and it's Amy, Chad, Mike, Cam sitting in front of him. Cam Ward is not getting that level of involvement, but having a conversation with these guys is valuable to this team. Maybe not the most important thing when hiring a coach, but it's something that you can add to the formula when you're trying to decide who you're going to bring in.
But, you know, quite frankly, this is why, because, you know, I felt Shedeur Sanders was a good match for this team. For Brian Callahan. But quite frankly, this is exactly why I didn't think that they should draft him. I don't think this city can handle Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry. I don't think it could. I mean, look at the outrage over Cam Ward making a simple statement about wanting to meet the guy who's going to determine his fate over the next 5 years. Can you imagine if Shedeur did the mime or meme thing and like the chastisement he would undergo here? Man, it's
been a strange season, and we've talked about it before. There's a lot of people who I feel like they want to be right rather than actually have a franchise quarterback. It's like, you're supposed to be a fan of this team, and the easiest way for your team to be good again is for Cam Ward to work out. But instead of rooting for him to work out, you're nitpicking every little thing he does. And that's not to say that Cam Ward has not had a bad year. Like, this has been a disappointing rookie season for Cam Ward. But a lot of rookie quarterbacks have disappointing seasons, and the fan base doesn't turn on them. And that's what we're getting here. We've got some texts, a lot of mixed thoughts on this, which is kind of what it's been. You're on one side or the other.
Yeah, because you're going to get those who over defend Cam Ward.
Right there, and that's why it's always somewhere in the middle. That's what I always want to say. It's never black, it's never white, it's gray. Like, Cam Ward is not the chosen one, savior, franchise quarterback right now. He has not done enough to prove that.
Right,
but he also has not done enough that you're like, man, what was this team doing picking him first overall? They need to move on and find somebody else. It's somewhere in the middle. Lenny on the text line says, Cam Ward needs to focus on being a quarterback, not an armchair GM. He barely completes half his passes.
Hey, see?
And that's exactly what you said.
What does wanting to meet the coach have? Next statement.
Again, it's just funny because it's like, it would be malpractice to say, Cam, you're not allowed to speak to any of these people. We're going to pick the coach and you're going to live with it.
But how does meeting with the coach impede upon his ability to play? If anything, it improves it because he knows what's coming.
It's so funny because you can't win.
No.
If the search committee said, we're going to leave Cam completely in the dark, everybody would say, this team has no idea what it's doing. Cam Ward should be meeting with these candidates.
Yep.
8566 says, TD, can you help me understand why people are anti-Cam? I hope he works so badly. It's so refreshing having an authentic dude leading this team and being real with everyone instead of sugarcoating everything all the time. He's a rookie with questionable footwork, which leads to some inaccurate throws, but that should be able to be fixed.
Yeah. I can't. I'm just going to leave it alone. I just think I'll say it this way. Cam Ward doesn't look like your traditional quarterback. And I think that does cause a little bit of issue among some.
That's true.
Who haven't advanced to the 2000s. I believe that does cause an issue among some. The days of all 32 being blonde hair, blue eyed, strong jawline, eat, breathe, sleep, and want nothing but football. That it's over. Like, you don't have that now. You have guys who are culturized. You have guys who, are going to speak their mind, even if it's not something that's status quo, as far as like when he said, we ASS or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it. Not all of it. Not all of it. Trust, not all of it, but I think that is a part of it.
Yeah. And again, I think most of it is he wasn't billed as this generational quarterback coming out. So people wanted to trade the pick. And now there's some confirmation bias there of we should have traded the pick. We should have traded the pick. And it's like, just give him some time. Give him some time. Quarterbacks aren't microwave ready. A lot of them need a little bit of extra time. 615-737-1025. We'll continue this conversation on the other side. We've got some good texts on the text line. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. DVD with Willie Donick, Derek Mason, and Adam Vingen will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday prior to the Monday Night Football game. This week's matchup is the 49ers and the Colts. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Looking for a great spot to pregame on Sunday before the Titans game? Stop by John Bon Jovi's and pregame with 102.5 The Game. JBJ's has the best food on Broadway, cold beer and cocktails, and stunning skyline views, including 2 epic rooftops. The pregame show brought to you by Tennessee Brewworks and Old National Bank.
TD, you're getting down in there.
Yes,
Hey, they say get low. I couldn't get out the chair.
That was
Get low, so I just slid.
That was my high school baseball walk-up song junior
Really?
year. So I was not allowed to choose it. The first-year players on varsity, the seniors, got to pick your walk-up song. I will say, out of the options that others were given, I'll take mine. That one wasn't too bad. But yeah, that was my walk-up song all of junior year. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We're talking about Cam Ward being involved in the head coaching search. He says he wants to meet the candidates that they bring in yesterday. And let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Stryker has called in. Stryker, thanks for calling. Good morning.
First of all, I think it's meaningful that Cam would express that interest. I think he deserves that opportunity. What I want to make sure that you encourage the fans that are against Cam to think about is, if they've never been hit by the blind side, either by Max Crosby or Micah Parsons, they might want to think twice about criticizing his completion percentages or the way he manages the pocket, because he has a suspect offensive line, and the kid has been a warrior. He's absolutely been sacked far more than he should have been, and you never hear him complain. He dusts himself up, goes back as a leader into the huddle, and moves on. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for the call, Stryker. And
Stryker.
I think that's an important point is, yes, the physical stuff has not been good enough for Cam Ward this year. He's missing too many throws. He's been inaccurate. There's been some bad decision-making. He's held the ball too long. But I think you like the mental makeup of Cam Ward and the emotional makeup of Cam Ward, that despite all of the struggles and all of the losing, it doesn't seem like he's changed whatsoever.
These are the things to me that make me feel like as if, okay, he's not going to get Card. Was it David Card? He's not going to get David Card.
Yeah.
Right? Because that first year in Houston, he was sacked a bajillion times. He was never the same. His shot clock, it was non-existent. He was trying to get rid of the ball immediately. And I think when you look at Cam, how strong he is mentally, good case in point, yesterday I asked him, I said, the pressure of, because we got a story about the number 1 picks over the last 17 years coming out that I led the story. So I wanted to get a quote for it. And I said, what is it that, keeps you from being overwhelmed by the pressure of being a number 1 pick? And it's all about perspective. Like they say in the business world, you shift the paradigm. The glasses he looks through are, I'm blessed to be able to play football and get paid to do it.
Right.
So when you have that perspective, right, and you look at it as a game, you're not going to get overwhelmed by the pressure, quote unquote, of being a number 1 pick. And I just thought that he answered that question. He's what, 21, 22 years old?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe 23.
The way he thinks.
23.
Yeah, 23. The way he thinks is beyond, a 23-year-old. And I think that's just a testament, to Mr. Calvin Ward, Miss Patrice Ward, I want to say. It's a testament to his parents, right? Because they raised him right. And he's in a mindset of, I'm not going to be overwhelmed by anything. All I know is to live day by day and come back after any lessons, not losses, lessons, and that's a good mindset.
I wish we got more Calvin Ward Cam throughout the season. The camera on him during the Broncos game is still one of the highlights of the year after that drop from Calvin Ridley of Cam Ward's dad looking like I don't even know what to describe what it looked like he watched, but he was distraught, bending over the railing, head in his hands.
He looked like he had the worst stomach ache ever, man. He got him and waddled over to the thing.
I know. He got up, went over, and just.
You got Ben Arthur sitting there like, who used to write for the Tennessee, and he's Fox Sports now. But yeah, man, that was hilarious, boy.
Yes, I would love to have that camera on Cam Ward's dad moving forward. Back to the text line here about this. Hair Metal Henry says, I have the perfect solution. Hold the coaching interviews at a Metro police precinct and let Cam sit behind the two-way mirror. No one will know he's there. It's pretty good from Hair Metal Henry.
But how can he focus on his mechanics and improving accuracy that way? You got to have the meetings at the facility. He can't go over. It's too.
There's too much going on. He can't get over to the Metro Police Precinct. 8395 says, I hear you that letting Cam meet candidates feels like common sense. What is your confidence level in this administration making a common sense decision, considering they've literally gotten everything wrong?
Well, that's a different conversation. It hasn't exactly been great, you know what I mean? But look, I feel at some point things have to turn around. So, I mean, I'm not really sure how to answer that question, honestly. But at some point, but Mike Borgonzi is new, is fresh, a fresh approach. I'm curious, like with the scouting department, how things just continue to remain the same.
Did he overhaul some of the scouting staff?
Some. There have been some.
Because I know Rand kept almost all of the Robinson scouting staff.
Yeah.
And I think I did see that at least Borgonzi was making some changes. I don't know how widespread that was, but you're right. Mike Borgonzi, at this point, from what we've heard from him and what he's done, I think you have some trust in him, right? That last press conference around the trade deadline, I think that's one of the best press conferences we've had from anybody around the Titans in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying that means he's going to do well at his job, but he had a vision and he was able to adequately tell the fan base what he wanted to see from this team moving forward and his plan to get there. So I'm trusting in Mike Borgonzi heading into this offseason. We're going to talk more about his first draft class later on. But at this point, I think that's the guy that you trust. I don't know if Amy Adams Strunk has earned your trust at this point with what she's done. Chad Brinker, I don't know if he's earned your trust with what he's done. But at this point, you hope that Mike Borgonzi is the one who is at least the leader on these decisions. And you got to trust what he can do.
Yeah.
Mike from Las Casas says, go back and listen to the man's words. Cam didn't say he wanted to talk to the prospective coaches. He said he wanted to be involved in everything. I don't care either way.
Actually, if you go back and listen to his words, he said he wanted to meet with everyone.
Yes.
See, I hate when people try to correct and they're wrong.
They asked,
you go back and look at it, not me, you.
The follow-up question was, have you talked to Mike and Chad about wanting to be involved? And he said, yes, they know that I want to be involved. He didn't say I want to be involved in everything. He didn't say like, hey, let me pick the coach. But he said he wanted to meet him and he wanted to be involved in the process. Brian says, if you've got Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, or someone like that, by all means, bring him in and use his input when it comes to the coach. But with a one-year dude coming off a potential 2-15 season and he's not looking all that good, he can give his opinion, but that's about it. I hope Cam turns into one of the elite who you value their opinion, but he's not there yet. I would bring Simmons in and value his opinion more because he's been around and has the experience. That's a fair point that I think let's say Andy Reid retires. I think Patrick Mahomes is right in the thick of the decision-making of the next coach. He has earned that right. I don't think we're trying to make the point that Cam Ward should be, the third guy in this decision process of Chad, Mike, Cam, but not using his input is just as bad. I also agree that I think Simmons should be involved. I think Big Jeff, he's clearly proven that he wants to be a part of this rebuild and getting this team back into playoff contention. He should also be speaking to these coaches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just real quick, the input, some community stuff. Jeffrey Simmons took a group of kids to one of the local clothing stores, and he bought them suits. And then Cam Ward did a shopping spree.
Right, at Target.
I'm upset that I missed it, but his bill was almost $9,000. You know what I mean? These guys are giving back, but I think they both should be involved in this. And involved has many different definitions or connotations, right? I'm not saying, as you're not saying, they have the final decision or should say who should and shouldn't be the coach.
Cam, please tell us who we should hire as the next head coach.
But as a coach, I mean, as a GM, as a president of football operations, you want to see how this candidate vibes with the guys who are going to – these guys set the tone in your locker room offensively and defensively. You want to see how this next coach vibes with them. And obviously, you're not getting the full picture, right? But you're getting an idea. Okay, you know what? I saw that he really connected to him.
Yeah.
Or I saw their personalities don't seem to match. You know what I mean? And that's just information. You can never have too much information.
Would you want an arranged marriage for Cam and the next head coach, or do you
No.
want Cam to at least meet and have a chance to get coffee with the guy before they actually sign the papers and say, you guys fix the franchise? Jeremy in Clarksville asked, what's the fallout for Cam? If they pick the coach Cam wants and he fails, Cam ain't getting fired. Yes, he is. Like, if this next head coach fails, Cam is going to be the one who gets the brunt of it. That's how it works. Like,
He doesn't get the big deal.
they blamed Brian Callahan. Next up, it'll either be Borgonzi or Cam. Like, that's how it works. You bring in a head coach and the team still struggles and Cam still struggles. Yeah, maybe the coach gets fired too, but so does Cam.
Right.
You're not going to give Cam a third head coach and say, this guy can fix him. This head coaching hire is going to decide the trajectory of Cam Ward's career.
Very much so. That's really the bottom line. And that's why he has every right to, want to meet.
It feels common sense, but we'll
Common
see.
sense isn't always
And I'm
common.
sure when the hire is made, one of you will ask the question of how involved was Cam Ward in this process. And I would assume it's going to be the answer. He spoke to him. They had conversations, and that was pretty much it. But we'll see. If they say, Cam Ward was in the room for every single interview and, went through all of the decision-making with us, then I will eat crow and say I was wrong. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll wrap up hour number 1 on the other side. And then your chance to talk to TD coming up at 10. So get your texts and calls in, 615-737-1025. Any question that you have, Turron Davenport will go. We'll get to those coming up at the top of the hour. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1-2-5 the game.
Happy holidays from the Hillard family. Take advantage of our current specials and deals at happyhillard.com.
Shop Christmas deals at Electronic Express for everyone on your list. From the gamer to the chef, the movie lover to the music fanatic, we've got them covered. Get a Samsung bespoke 29 cubic feet 4-door French.
Okay, I was going to move on from this, but this is actually a good question. Today between noon and 3, Chase and Big Joe will have your chance to win a $100 Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa gift card, and you can qualify to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card. It's the 12 Days of Christmas on 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you, wrapping up hour number 1 on this Thursday morning. A reminder, Talk to TD coming up next at 10. Get your questions in. 615-737-1025. Can be anything Titans related or otherwise. Maybe some holiday related questions. This will be our last show before Christmas, a week from today. So get those in. Again, 615-737-1025. We'll get to those coming up next. But finishing up the conversation on Cam Ward and having some involvement in the head coaching search, David, I thought, had a great question on the text line. He says, so hypothetically, if Mike Tomlin was to get fired and they get future Hall of Famer Mike Tomlin in for an interview and Cam doesn't really vibe with him, why would his opinion matter? And I think this is the kind of the point of what we're trying to say is Cam is not going to be the end all be all. If you get Mike Tomlin in here, what Cam's opinion is really shouldn't matter all that much. Yeah, I mean, you're going to let him talk to him, but a proven commodity like a Mike Tomlin, who is going to be sought after by almost every team with a head coaching opening, if he comes in here and wants to coach the Titans, he's going to coach the Titans, and Cam Ward is going to have to adjust to it, whether he likes him or not.
And that's what you said, proven commodity. It's a little different there. It's
right.
A little different. And you notice in the example that we talked about, I mentioned Robert Saleh. Right. So there's still Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin. You've seen it. If Mike Tomlin could get along with Antonio Brown, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens for a little bit, he's gonna get along with Cam Ward. Like, they're gonna figure it out.
If Mike Tomlin is fired and he wants to come here, he is going to come here. Like, that is the easiest decision that the Titans could make, because again, you're looking for somebody who can come in and immediately build a culture and make this a competent football team again, which isn't guaranteed if you bring in an unproven commodity, which would be a coordinator who hasn't been a head coach before, or if you bring in, like, again, you mentioned Saleh, guy who failed the first time as a head coach, Arthur Smith, Matt Nagy, all kind of in the same boat there. You bring those guys in, I think you'd like to find somebody who Cam Ward gets along with, and that can be part of the process of vetting these head coaches, is letting them speak to Cam Ward. It's not everything, but it's part of it. But yes, if Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh comes loose and they are like, I want to come to Nashville, I want to be the head coach of the Titans, Cam Ward's opinion isn't going to matter. You're going to tell Cam Ward, hey, this guy has proven that he can be a good head coach in this league. You're going to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah. And chances are they're going to find a common ground. You know what I mean? Because your John Harbaughs, your Mike Tomlins, these are guys that's what they do. That's how they've been able to manage these teams for so long. And when I say manage, I mean manage, because that's exactly what you are as a head coach. You are a people manager. You have to know how to relate to a bunch of various types of personalities, upbringings, everything. You got to be a chameleon.
I really don't think Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh would come in here and Cam Ward would be going to Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinkard saying, I hate that guy. Don't hire him. I think he'd be thrilled to have him. But that's the kind of thing where there are going to be factors other than Cam Ward's opinion that are more important when you hire this head coach. But it can still be a factor, right? It can be one of them. Matt on the text line says, in the real world, when a new boss comes in, you adjust to what the boss wants to do. The inmates do not run the asylum. Cam.
Okay. Well, first off, Matt, this isn't an asylum. And newsflash for you, NFL franchises are run a little bit differently from the factory down the street. Right. So let's leave the real world. I hate when people do that. This isn't what you refer to as the real world. It's different.
Well, and Cam Ward is the most important person in this organization right now.
Yeah.
Right. If this team is ever going to win a Super Bowl or going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 to 10 years, which seems unlikely, but if it's going to happen, it's going to be because Cam Ward takes a huge leap and becomes an elite quarterback.
Right.
So if you want your team to be able to make that leap, you have to develop Cam Ward. And there's no reason why he should not be at least involved in these discussions. It feels like we're beating a dead horse at this point. It feels common sense. And I guess we're just at that point in the year. The head coaching opening has been there now for 2 months since Brian Callahan got fired. We're getting close. We are getting close to interviews. Names are starting to at least pop up. Matt Nagy has been linked to the Titans. Mike McCarthy has been linked to the Titans. So we're getting close, guys. We don't have to have these hypothetical conversations for much longer. But the Titans have 3 more games, and then they will start to interview and look for whoever the next head coach is going to be. Lenny with a good text on the text line. He says, it sure feels like an asylum over there, which that's fair.
Hey,
that's a fair point.
You're right about that.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. It is just that time of the year when the team is 2-12, where every little thing is going to get nitpicked and you're just waiting for the offseason to start. But the Titans, they do have opportunities to win some games here down the stretch. The Chiefs coming in.
This one is it's winnable. It's very winnable.
Gardner Minshew at quarterback, which the Titans, I think they're 2-2 all time against Gardner Minshew, which is crazy. They're facing him for the 5th time as a starting quarterback. But this is also a Chiefs team. And I mentioned this. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, TD. This is a Chiefs team that you just don't know whether they're going to show up or not, right? Like they have been playing for a Super Bowl for the last 10 years. And it's like, this is the first game where they're not. They're out of playoff contention. Are your stars going to come and actually really want to give it their all on Sunday at East
And the
Stadium?
brightest star isn't going to be there.
Right. So
and the remaining brightest star, he's very emotional. I mean, we've seen in the past that Travis Kelce is someone that you could get in his head. How much more emotional will he be being out there not having a good year?
Right. With Gardner Minshew at quarterback.
Not having much to play for other than pride. Like, it's going to be interesting. And you got to wonder, like, okay, is this the end for Kelce?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it is, a competitor like that, like he is, will probably rise to the occasion, but there's that chance that, emotions, they could overcome you. And so I'm curious how he's going to be on the football field.
Right. And I did see a quote that was put out there from the New Heights podcast with Travis and Jason Kelce. And Travis was talking about Patrick Mahomes' injury, and he said, I hope that Patty gets healthy and he is able to come back stronger than ever for the Chiefs. That was the way he worded it. Not for us, but for the Chiefs. And I think that's maybe a little hint that he could be done at the end of the year.
Yeah, it definitely is a hint. It is. On those same lines, Mike McCoy on Monday, he was talking about Cam, and he said they'll win a lot. I mean, we'll win a lot with him. I don't know if you caught that. I don't think anybody caught that, but I was like,
I'm sure it's starting to get to that point for a lot of these coaches of realizing you're getting pretty close to being done. And I'm sure it's been a tough year for these guys, but yeah, outside of Bones Fossil and maybe Denard Wilson, I don't think many of those guys will be back next year. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. It is now your time to ask TD questions. It is your time to talk to TD. 615-737-1025. Get your questions in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Vanderbilt women's basketball is on 94.9 The Fan. Tonight, the Commodores go up against Albany at Memorial Gym. 6:30 p.m. tip. I'll be on the air with pregame at 6:15. Commodores looking to get to 11-0 with just a couple games left before the holidays. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Hour number 2 coming up next. You're on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour on this Thursday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It is 10 a.m. on a Thursday, which means it is your chance to talk to TD. 615-737-1025. Text or call with any questions for Turron. We will get to them over the next 30 minutes. Let's start by going to our phone lines, and Mike from Gallatin is waiting. Mike, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Hey guys, hey TD.
What's up, man?
I'm doing great. I am looking at the tight end group, and I think initially with the way that the season was going, I was concerned about where we were looking in, and being a Vanderbilt fan was just daydreaming about the addition of Eli Stowers to this group. But the more and more that I have seen Gunnar Helm step up, and honestly, I feel like Cam Ward's development with Chig coming along, do you think that the Titans are going to have to, are going to be players on the tight end position and the free agency side, or do you think as Gunnar Helm stepped up enough to kind of solidify either that one spot or take Chig into consideration for an extension for that contract? Because I initially didn't think that was going to be the case, but man, they changed my mind. This Gunnar Helm guy is special, I think.
Mike, that's a great point. That's a great point. A very good call by Mike, bringing up something that people really aren't talking about much. But Gunnar Helm has established himself as the tight end of the future. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Chigakonkwo. The blocking has just been – it's been an issue.
The block he missed on that screen to Chim on Sunday was tough.
It was very tough. It's very tough. And if you look at Gunnar Helm, even the connection that he has with Cam Ward is very intriguing. It's encouraging to see something like that. He's about to I think he did already set the record for receptions by a rookie tight end on the Titans.
Yes, I think that's true.
It's cool, but like that's not a huge accomplishment, but we'll mention it. But to me, the big thing on Gunnar Helm that I think has changed a lot of people's opinion, including Mike, the development as a blocker.
Yeah.
The way he's come along. I mean, you go back and you look at that Cleveland game, he was doing some things, both at the line of scrimmage and down the field, second level, you know what I mean, of the defense. And these are the things that start to make you like, okay, wait a minute, this guy is complete. He's one that we could have in line. And when I say we, I'm talking about when you're looking at it from a Titans perspective, right? So let me just clear it up. He's one that they could have in line.
Yeah.
He's one that they could make sure it is an option in the passing game. He's been targeted 50 times. He caught 41.
That's pretty good.
You want completions, this is where you go. And this is a guy who has shown that he could beat one-on-one coverage. Remember the catch against the Falcons
on the preseason? Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's also shown that he could find a hole in zone very well. He's a guy that seems to be completely on the same page with Cam Ward. This is your tight end of the future. And then you got David Martin Robinson behind him, right? Not an expensive option, a guy that could do everything you want him to do. He could block well. He could also, he gives you special team. So maybe bring in another guy, and then you have your complete group. Look, if you want to sign Chig to a reasonable deal, you could do that too with the understanding, hey, look, we're going to shift things a little bit.
Gunner's going to be 1A.
The guy.
You're gonna...
Yeah, but we're going to use you in your complimentary packages.
Yeah, I think the Titans are going to need a tight end too. And Chig, I think, could be a very competent tight end too. But you have to make sure Chig understands that they're like, hey, we're going to see where this thing goes with Gunner. If we bring you back, you may not get as many opportunities. Maybe it makes sense for the Titans to go another way. But yes, I think one way or another, you're either going to bring back Chig or you're probably going to have to go to free agency to find that backup to Gunnar Helm. Caleb on the text line says, TD, I'd love to hear top 3 free agents on offense and defense you'd like to see the Titans sign this offseason, or just the top 3 positions of each, if that's easier.
You know what? Right off the bat, you mentioned free agent. Alec Pierce comes to mind.
That's the first name that comes to mind for me too.
Alec Pierce comes to mind. Let's see. I would say look at guard, although Jackson Slater seems to be the next man up, and you could reasonably find a guard in the draft. I'm just looking at free agent guards. Yeah, I don't know that there's any. I mean, I would look at Zion Johnson, but I mean, I probably would leave the free agency part of the guard position alone. I think receiver, right?
I think you need a receiver, a veteran guy who can be your wide receiver 2 or 3. I think you need at least one veteran cornerback, right?
Yeah, cornerback would be a good position. Although this draft is chock full
Yeah.
of corners.
I think you're going to draft at least one corner too.
But you do want a veteran in there. You do want a veteran.
Right, because the cornerback group coming back next year, I think you like what you've seen from Marcus Harris as a 6th-round rookie, but he's not a guy I think you can rely on to be a starter for you next year, which leaves you with not a whole lot in the cupboards at cornerback. So I think maybe you need a higher-end corner in free agency and maybe a middle of the pack cornerback in free agency, and then you go draft 1 or 2 as well.
I look at an edge too. You know, I would definitely look at an edge defender. I don't know. I thought Alex Highsmith was going to come available, but I don't see him on this list. I would look at an edge. You talk edge, my priority would be re-sign. I'm bringing Jahad Ward back. Like,
right.
He's in the mix for me. I don't care what kind of scheme the defensive coordinator runs. Jahad Ward is in the mix, and he gives you that he can play, you know, anywhere from 3 to 7. You know what I mean? Technique. So I would definitely look at him. But so to answer the question, receiver, cornerback, edge. I would also look at O-line to an extent.
What about running back?
I think Khalil Mullins, I think he's going to be fine as a guy that can handle short yardage. That combination of he and Tajay Spears and Chestnut, I think that's fine. And you could always draft, right? You know, you could always draft a guy and they'll probably end up bringing some in just like they brought in Jordan Mims. You know what I mean? Running backs always – now, I'll say running backs are a dime a dozen, but the difference-making ones, right? So like Love from Notre Dame, he's every bit worth a top 10 pick, right? Because he's a difference maker.
Yeah.
But
you probably can't do that as the Titans
can't do that
the
right
holes
now.
you have at receiver and edge and
it.
corner, which
Can't
are probably your top 3 draft needs as well.
Exactly. So, you know, it's going to be a different – it's interesting how the top 3 draft needs match the top 3 free agents.
But it's funny because if you get one of those guys in free agency, you probably still need to take one in the draft too. I don't think you can fill any of those holes in free agency. You're going to need a high-end pick in the draft for all of them. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will continue to get to all of your texts and calls for TD in the next segment. Again, talk to TD here on Next Man Up. But before we wrap up this segment, I did want to mention that the Nashville Predators just announced that Sheila Crisp, the wife of Terry Crisp, has passed away. Here's the statement from the Predators. The Nashville Predators are deeply saddened by the passing of Sheila Crisp, wife of Terry Crisp. Sheila has been an integral part of the Nashville hockey community from the start. She'll be remembered for her fighting spirit as she bravely faced cancer. But more than that, her love for her community, her joy, and her impeccable sense of humor. Our thoughts and prayers are with Terry, their children, Tony, Jeff, and Kaylee, and their 10 grandchildren, and all of those who love her. So sending our thoughts and our prayers to Terry, his family, on the passing of Sheila Crisp, his wife. I've only met Terry a couple of times, but has always been great interactions. Obviously a legend among Nashville and the Predators and the hockey community. So sending all of our thoughts to the Crisp family as Sheila Crisp has passed away this morning. We will take a quick break. We'll be right back. Next Man Up here on 102.5 The Game. The Game Nashville Sports Network is your home for college football bowl games and the college football playoffs, presented by Twin Peaks and Parman Tractor and Equipment. Tonight on Sports Talk 8:30, it's Missouri State and Arkansas State in the Xbox Bowl at 8 p.m. For a list of games carried on the Game Nashville Sports Network, visit thegamenashville.com/bowl games. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. It is your chance to talk to TD. Get your texts and calls in 615-737-1025. And we go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Kaysen is called in. Kaysen, thanks for calling. What you got for TD?
Yeah, I just wondering. So, okay, obviously the Titans are going to have a high overall first-round draft pick this year, if not the first. So if we look over our past 10 years, we're historically bad at drafting first-round draft picks, obviously. So do you think we should trade that pick or risk our luck? Tell me what you think. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for the call, Kaysen. I think that's the question is, can you trade back? And if you can trade back, can you stay in the spot to get a blue chip player? Or do you risk missing out on a player that you really covet if you do trade back from one of those spots?
I think you only trade back so far. In my opinion, I wouldn't trade back beyond 5. Honestly.
You think 5? I was going to say 7, because that maybe still gets you in the position where you could get one of those top edge rushers, one of those top wide receivers. Although the rumors are that Ruben Bain is going to slip a little bit because of his short arms.
Hey, look, man, I'm not going to say he's not going to be good. I won't say that.
I think
I don't feel him. I want to watch this A&M game, and I want to see if I feel. Folks, watch my the A&M Miami game.
That's 11 a.m. on Saturday.
NFL talent all over the place.
All over the place.
KC Concepcion,
Cassius
Howell.
There it is right there. You want to see pass rushers, and then I can never pronounce my man's name on the opposite side of Bain.
Oh yeah.
Mesidor. Mesidor.
He's a first round prospect as well. So you want to watch pass rushers? You got some guys to watch.
Well, and if you're looking at the other side of the ball, is it Moaga, the tackle for Miami?
Yeah, and they got a guard too.
Against Cassius Howell. So that'll be interesting. If you're looking ahead in the draft, everybody talking about Jeremiah Smith in 2027. I was about to say Malachi Toney in 2028 might be a guy that you want to look at too. But yes, if you're looking for Titans prospects, keep your eye on the 2-7-10 quadrant of the college football playoff bracket, because you've got Ruben Bain, Cassius Howell, and then if whoever moves on faces Ohio State with Arvell Reese and Carnell Tate. There you go. There's
you want to know what it's like to feel a player. You watch Ohio State.
Yep.
Because that Don Reese, man, listen.
They're using him a little bit awkwardly. Like they're dropping him back in coverage a lot, playing him more off the ball. They need to Micah Parsons him and just say, you're going to be a pass rusher and you're going to go get the quarterback.
You know what I'm saying?
Again, talk to TD. You can get your questions in 615-737-1025. We have a lot here on the text line. There's a chance we might have to extend this for one more segment. Let's stick with some Titans ones for now. Then we'll get to some more off the wall stuff. Let's see. Justin from Greenbrier. TD, do you think the Titans bring back Pollard or just let him go next year? He does have one more year on his deal, I believe. But I think they save about $7 million if they cut him.
He's on there for $9 million.
I think I would guess he's gone.
God bless you. Thanks for coming out. Good night. That's basically, unfortunately, he's established somewhat of an identity with this team. He and that offensive line, but we talked about it. Tajay Spears, Khalil Mullins, Julius Chestnut, and maybe a guy that they bring in the draft or whatever. I doubt Pollard will be.
So Trevor Texan, and this is the name I wanted to bring up for running back.
Come on now,
Brees Hall.
I like that.
If they were going to go big at running back, I think that's the name you go with, because he's only 24 years old. He hasn't gotten a ton of tread on it. Like, he hasn't had a whole lot of wear on his tires the last couple of years. I think Brees Hall, if you're going to go and try and get a playmaker at running back and you don't want to spend a draft pick on it, maybe that's the way you go.
And they have money to spend. That wouldn't be a bad signing at all. And there was a point, like, before he had that injury, like, Brees Hall was, this is going to be the next one of those running backs that changes the value system. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be one of those guys, but coming available, I definitely, that's a great mention.
Yeah, I think the Titans are probably not going to be shopping in the most expensive aisles of free agency just because that doesn't fit their timeline right now.
Mhm.
But I think if you're going to go for one of the top end guys at a position, Brees Hall might make the most sense. We talked about tight ends to start off the hour, TD. And Joey from Bellevue asks, if Kyle Pitts becomes available, do you see him as an option?
It's in like, I wonder if Arthur Smith gets the head coaching job,
Would Kyle Pitts want to play for Arthur Smith again?
probably not. So I look, I think it's something they will look at, but I don't really think he's going to garnish, like he's going to warrant a big contract.
Somebody's going to say, I can fix him, right? Like that's what happens with these. We can talk about the transfer portal right now. Like DJ Lagway and Dylan Raiola just went in. There's going to be programs that say, we'll pay the $5 million to get him because we can fix him. He's talented enough. We can fix him. Kyle Pitts might be the same way in free agency.
Yeah, Dylan Raiola. Oh, Patrick Mahomes part 2. I tell you, watch the Patriots snap him. Josh McDaniel loves to run that 12 personnel.
Yeah, I
Watch
could see it.
snap him.
I could see it. Another name that was mentioned, and I'm looking for who sent it. I'm missing it. But anyway, Isaiah Likely was mentioned as a possible free agent out there.
That's a good one. And you talk about red zone production. Yeah. And he's probably going to come available because they signed Mark Andrews to a big deal.
So maybe you pair him with Gunnar Helm.
And he's like a move guy. I remember him at Coastal Carolina. I honestly, I didn't like him.
He got the nice meme of the Likely 4 on his back.
Yeah. I didn't like his. It seemed like he was allergic to blocking. He's gotten a little bit better with that. But I mean, he was here in Nashville, at Vandy
for
at the
tight end
TEU, and I was watching him, and he has nice size, and he's actually a skilled route runner too. So that would be an intriguing option. But I like Brees Hall. That Brees Hall mentioned that's really good on both of your parts.
Yeah,
man.
I think Brees Hall, when you look at free agency, it just makes a lot of sense. Of the Titans are going to go try and find their stars, their playmakers at wide receiver and corner and edge. That's going to come in the draft. You're going to get some depth in free agency at those spots, but you're going to go try and get your playmakers, your future cornerstones in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Running back is one of those spots where you're right. Unless you're getting Jeremiah Love, are you really going to upgrade at that spot all that much? I think Brees Hall would be a quick way. You've got the money, go out and spend it and get a guy like that who can come in and be a playmaker for Cam Ward.
3 or 4 year deal. Obviously, you get out after 2 if need be. I mean, look, he's on the brink, just looking at his numbers. Like, he's on the brink of his first 1,000-yard season. Now, a 1,000-yard rushing season is different now with 17 games, but I mean, it's still a plateau that's respectable. 14 games, 900 yards on 213 carries. 4.2 yards a carry. I mean, the man's never had under 4.2. 4.5 is his career average. So.
And this will almost certainly be his career high in carries. Maybe not in touches, though. He had just under 300 touches back in 2023 and ended up putting up 1,500 yards. Again, yeah, you're right. 3-year deal. $33 million somewhere in there. You got more than enough money to make that work if you're the Titans. All right, let's go to some non-Titans questions here. I like this one from Wes in Clarksville. TD, what is the most awkward interview you've ever been a part of, and what was it about?
Awkward interview.
I guess this could maybe a press conference interview, any that stand out.
That's a good one. Probably the most awkward press conference was when A.J. Brown came out and said he contemplated suicide. Because you look at A.J. Brown and you're like, hey, this kid, his smile will light up a whole room, and he's always smiling. He's always upbeat. He's always laughing.
He felt like kind of like happy-go-lucky. Like he was always a guy who was going to bring the energy.
And it was crazy. And I remember talking to him, no mic, just talk. And I knew that there were some things going on, but I never knew it was that serious.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, this man was at the pinnacle.
Right.
And and so that was probably the most awkward. I mean, I've had awkward ones. I remember, I used to do a thing where I would have a play on my phone, a video, and I would record the conversation with a player, and he would
Like
tell
Leo,
me,
this was what we were doing. Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And I would play it on the air. That started from a conversation I had with Jason Kelsey. I remember Jay Ajayi had like a 53-yard run, and they pulled Kelsey, and he went, he pulled and he got out in the alley, and he took out 2 people, and Jay Ajayi was able to have Jay Ajayi 50-yard
baller
touchdown run. I asked him to take me through the play, and he's taking me through the play, and then like mid-sentence he burped, and it was like the most disgusting smell. And he was like, my bad, man, my bad. And the funny thing is, so this happened in 2016. I saw Jason Kelsey at the combine last year, and he brought that up and was laughing about it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that was awkward, but for the most part, I've been able to steer clear of situations too crazy.
Jay Ajayi was a great player. I was thinking back. I knew he had some crazy stat from when he was with the Dolphins. In 2016, he had 3 200-yard rushing games.
He was, yeah. I mean, he was when the Eagles got him. I remember everybody was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
because it was he, LeGarrette Blount, and Corey Clement.
It is funny though. He had 204 against Pittsburgh, 214 against Buffalo back-to-back weeks, and then had 206 again against Buffalo later on in the season. So that's, if I can do quick math in my head, 624 yards. He only had 1,272 for the season, so he had almost half of his rushing yards in 3 games that year. Last one here on Talk to TD. We have to get our token Mets question in here. 8055 says, TD, being a lifetime Met fan like you, wanted to get your opinion on all of these offseason acquisitions and trades. The media has us being a dumpster fire and having us just above the Nationals. What do you think?
The Edwin Diaz one is mind-boggling. I'd have just went to 3 years, 75. Why not?
Right, especially to keep him away from the Dodgers.
Right. And apparently the Braves offered a 5-year deal to him. So the Edwin Diaz one, I don't like that. I get Devin Williams. We'll see if they could get what's the closer? He used to play for the A's.
Oh, Mason Miller.
Mason Miller. If they could get him, okay, that'll offset it. But I don't like that one. I really don't like the Brandon Nimmo trade. Alonzo, it hurts, but 5 years, 155. I get it.
A lot of money
you pulled off of that. Got to find pitching. Got to find outfield. Like Cody Bellinger is a guy I would absolutely sign. I don't know what's going on there. Kyle Tucker would be intriguing, but honestly, I probably would take Bellinger at that price over Tucker,
right?
For a 10-year, $400 million type of deal. So that's my take on it. I'm gonna be at the games either way. It is what it is.
Long way to go in the offseason. A lot of the big names still out there. Tarek Skubal just announced that he will be pitching for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. So Team USA going to get to run out a 1-2 punch of Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal.
Mm-hmm. So is Nolan McLean.
Yes, I saw that.
Future ace for the Mets.
I saw that. So the USA going to have a loaded pitching staff for the World Baseball Classic coming up this spring. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Great stuff from everybody for this week's edition of Talk to TD. When we come back, another big story this week. Arden Key made comments after the game on Sunday saying that the team isn't making adjustments. Denard Wilson responded on Tuesday. We will talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes you look at it in the second half. I mean, what other adjustments do we need? We lost a one-on-one ball in man coverage, and we missed a tackle, and we didn't hinge on cover two. I don't know what else adjustments that we needed. At this point, everybody has an opinion, about everything. Everybody needs to stay in their lane and focus on what they need to focus on.
That was Denard Wilson on Tuesday talking about Arden Key's post-game comments about the Titans defense not making adjustments. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Parker got you on this one.
Got me over here blushing. Hey, she has a I saw, and it funny thing, I was scrolling through things to watch. I think it was on Prime. My lady and I, and there was a documentary on her. I said, Swift, they used to go right by. They hit the little
careful.
smile and Swift.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah. No, funny. My bad.
No, you're good. Arden Key makes those comments, and this isn't the first time he said something like that. Arden Key always quick to kind of blame the coaching staff when it comes to the defensive struggles. And I mean, the Titans defense was not good on Sunday. You give up 31 points on the first 5 drives of the game, 7 straight third down conversions, just couldn't get off the field. But Denard Wilson, I think it's a good response. It's like, hey, we did make adjustments. We make adjustments all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job. You got to do your job and get after the quarterback.
Yeah, and I think Mike McCoy kind of echoed it when he mentioned the adjustments that were made in that second series and when, guys went down. I think with Arden Key, Arden is very outspoken. But if you look at that the second part of, because what I asked him, because he said we got to make adjustments, but then I asked him, okay, are you saying the players, the coaches? And he said everybody. So I honestly don't see anything wrong with the comments other than you just have to be careful how people could take it.
Right.
Because when he said everybody, that includes the coaches, and that's what everybody latched onto. They didn't latch on to the part that he said everybody, including the players, have to make the adjustments too. So there's a balance there that has to happen, but we always tend to gravitate towards one side of comments, and I think that's what happened.
And I think, like I said, he's said something like this before, so maybe it was quicker to be taken out of context, because I think it was 2 years ago, like the end of Vrabel's tenure, where he said, we never make any adjustments or something like that. So this isn't the first time he said that. I think people took that as a shot at Denard Wilson, but basically, long way to say, I think Arden Key may be the most likely person to not be back with this team next year. I mean, it just feels like that, that ship has sailed. Arden Key, he's had his moments since he's been here, but they clearly need to go in different directions at this point.
But I'll tell you one thing, it's not like he's some type of cancer in that locker room.
No, I would agree with that.
You watch him in the locker room, whether it's Xavier Restrepo, Cam Ward, Jihad Ward, Simmons, they have things that they do in the locker room, whether it's cards, whatever. He's in there and doing all that with them. Now, they're not doing it as much to their credit now. Like, I noticed they're not doing those things as much, like the cards, the four square, ping pong, and all that stuff. But when that stuff was going on, like, he was one of the, so he's not some type of locker room cancer. And as a veteran, he has to know, you got to be careful with which, he's known for his outspokenness, but you just got to be careful how you word things.
Would you say that, yes, he's not a locker room cancer, but maybe just doesn't fit the culture that they're trying to build, or at least, and I guess that's up for the next head coach to decide too. I don't know what the next head coach is going to want, but Mike Borgonzi and, some of the things that he's done since he got here, it just doesn't feel like Arden Key meshes well with what the Titans are trying to do moving forward.
No, it's his personality. I don't think it meshes with, and it's not that his personality is bad. Like, he's just outspoken, he's brash, he's loud, and those, you need that on a team,
right? You
need that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's just kind of run its course, and you got younger guys in Femi Oladejo who need to step into that role as that situational pass rusher.
And going back to the adjustments part of this, I just laugh at the we don't make adjustments thing when you look out on the field and you see the players that are out there, and nothing against these guys. All of them are they've worked very hard to get to where they are. But when you look out on defense in the second half and you're seeing names like Kendall Brooks and CJ Ravenel and Daryl Baker and some guy named Truman Jones was out there at some point on the field.
56,
So I look at that and I say, what do you want Denard Wilson to do? At some point, the X's and the O's aren't going to matter when you just are being out-talented by the guys on the other side of the football.
And look at what Mike McCoy says frequently. It's all about the players, right? And, I mean, look, if you don't have as many premier guys as the team that you're on the field facing, the results are going to be 2-12. You know what I mean? Like, that's just it is what it is.
And that's where the Titans are at this point. You look at the rest of the season, that secondary, Amani Hooker is really the only guy that I think you'd feel comfortable sending out there if you were to pick a roster. Like, yeah, Amani Hooker can be a starting safety. Anybody else that you're putting out in the secondary isn't a guy that you'd like to be sending out in the secondary if you could have other options out there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough sledding right now. Very tough sledding for him. So, you know, I give Denard Wilson a lot of respect and props, you know, for being able to, you know, keep these things respectable for a period of time. And I don't know that it's as much the adjustments as it is like the dam just finally breaks.
Right.
I mean, look at these late games where just like they're fighting, and then finally it's just like, you know, that body blow and you can't recover from it. And next thing you know, you know, the scores. And then again, you also have to look at offensively, like there are things that aren't going right on that side of the ball.
Right. We talked about the
over.
complementary football of like you go 3 and out, and right after your defense had a 9-minute drive that they were out there, it's like neither side is helping each other out at that point. But I think it is funny. You look at the Seahawks and the 49ers games, both times the defense has kind of found a little bit of something towards the end of the game, right? Like Jeffrey Simmons gets the strip sack and sets up the touchdown. And then you get the stop on that next drive. They missed the field goal, but of course, Jeffrey Simmons gets called for the penalty. But the Titans defense, those 2 games against Seattle and San Francisco, they really struggled early. They gave up 30 points about as fast as you possibly can. But then they buckled down and tried to give the offense a chance. But at some point, it's too little too late.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to your point how they've managed, you know, the last couple of games to, you know, bring it back into somewhat respectable, right? And like make it a game. But it's only so much you could do. Only so much, man. And again, like Denard Wilson, hey man, salute. Salute.
The Titans are going to be sending out a skeleton crew for the last 3 weeks, especially in the secondary. But you know, there's some gettable opponents out there. The Chiefs have nothing to play for. Patrick Mahomes out for the year. The Saints obviously are not one of the better teams in the league, although they have won back-to-back games. And Jaguars, they're winning the division. We'll see if they have anything locked up by the time they get to Week 18 and host the Titans in January. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to some of your texts on the other side, wrap up hour number 2. In hour number 3, we're going to take a little bit of a look at the overall year from this rookie draft class, with Femi Oladejo possibly returning to the lineup shortly after he was designated to return from IR yesterday. 615-737-1025. This Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Steelers and the Lions at 3:25 on 94.9 The Fan. The NFL game of the week is presented by Circa Sportsbook Kentucky and Macero in at 12 South. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. The college football game of the week is number 9 Alabama and number 8 Oklahoma in the first round of the college football playoff. Catch all of the action on 102.5 The Game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Coverage presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and is also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly, next man up. 102.5 The Game, finishing up hour number 2. Getting to some texts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, talking about the Denard Wilson, Arden Key, the comments about adjustments. And 3280 asks, TD, do you think Denard gets a defensive coordinator job after this, whether that's with the Titans or somewhere else, or do you think he goes back to being a position coach?
I think it's going to depend on who's the head coach here. Other than that, I don't think he gets, unfortunately, a DC job this cycle. But I could see him going somewhere, being a pass game coordinator, making somebody's secondary outstanding, and they're like, okay, let's get him back in action. And it's just amazing how this cycle works, because like Chris Harris at one point was a hot name.
Right.
He came in here from, I think it was from
Washington. Yeah.
He came here and, was the DB coach, and it didn't really work out all the way. And then Vrabel got fired and he resurfaced with the Jets. And I believe he's the DC now. Once they fired their DC.
Yeah, wasn't it Chris Harris came in and he signed a deal that basically said if he doesn't get a defensive coordinator job somewhere else, he'll come be the passing game coordinator here.
Exactly.
And it ended up working out. He didn't get the job, but obviously, you just never know when those opportunities are going to come up again. And I kind of agree with you. I think it's tough for a defensive coordinator who loses his job to get another DC job in the same cycle.
Mm-hmm.
There just aren't enough jobs that open up, and coordinator jobs, it seems like most hires come from within these days, at least from what I've seen. Like, guys just want to stick with their own guys.
Mm-hmm.
And unless it's a completely new staff and you're bringing a new head coach.
And so, like, in this situation, I could see Denard being back if it is an offensive-minded coach, right? If it's an Arthur Smith, if it's a Mike McCarthy. Now, of course, they typically have their guys that they like to, have around. But I think there could be a happy medium, because it's like, okay, well, this guy knows the roster.
Right.
Looking at the film, I could see, not all of it was scheme, yeah, there were some bad things that happened. So you could kind of balance it out.
Look at my Virginia Tech Hokies, just bringing Brent Pry back as the DC. And you get that transition period of, you got some guys from the old staff, some from the new, maybe it works out.
Yep.
Wes from Hermitage just sent a couple of texts,
Wes.
and I wanted to get to this one. He says, here's the truth, and this is relating back to our conversation about Cam Ward being involved in the coaching hire. It doesn't matter who they hire. Amy will be Amy regardless. At the end of the day, she got emotionally fired, the one coach that could have taken us to the promised land, and now we probably get to watch him play in it this year. I'll be rooting for them and Drake May. If we hire Saleh and expect a different outcome than what he had with the Jets, I think that's just Amy being gullible. So sorry for not having much faith, guys. Blame this outstanding organization and their success for my perception. Couple things to dig in on there. I don't know if I believe in the Patriots to make a run this year. Maybe down the road. I like Drake May, but I'm not sure I believe that they're a Super Bowl contender this season. In the playoffs, when you haven't been there before as a quarterback, I think it takes a little bit. Who knows? I
think this is the year Buffalo goes to the
me
Super
too.
Bowl.
If it's not this year, when's it going to be?
And the thing is, right, when you look at this, they showed it coming back and beating the Patriots.
Yeah, after going down 14-0 on the road.
Yeah, like that to me is going to be the separating factor. And I believe the Patriots are going to have to go to Buffalo, and I don't know that the Vrabel special will work out.
Well, there is a chance that the Patriots still end up hosting playoff games.
Oh, yeah, there's a chance.
They're a game up on Buffalo, but they play the Ravens this week. I think this is a big week for the Patriots. If they win that one,
truly desperate Ravens team,
they probably win the division. But you're right. That's a Ravens team that can't afford many, if any, other losses the rest of the season.
And Titans fans want them to win.
Yes, you do.
You know what I mean?
You need
And
what? Draymond Jones needs half a sack. That's it to get that fifth round pick to a fourth. It's the highest fifth versus the lowest fourth, though, right? So it would only be like maybe 10 spots up or so, but 10
Still
spots is
jumping.
better than 0. Wes from Riverditch also asked about Arden Key. If his attitude was that bad, why trade Brownlee and not him? Brownlee was a better player with higher upside. Seems like some favoritism going on in some fashion. I would argue it's more that they probably did try and trade Arden Key at the deadline. They probably just didn't get an offer that they thought was worth pulling the trigger on.
And look, that's not to say his attitude is bad, right? I don't feel his attitude's bad. I think he's just outspoken, and his vibe may not match with what Borgonzi wants. But that's not to say it's bad. Like, I don't like lamb chops. It's not to say lamb chops are bad.
Right.
I just personally don't like them.
An acquired taste kind of thing. Like some people like them, some people don't. But I mean, I think Arden Key can be a really positive force on a good team. But when the team is bad, his attitude doesn't quite play the same way. Similarly to Mike Vrabel, right? Like everybody loved the way Mike Vrabel acted when the Titans were going to the playoffs every single year. But when you lose 18 out of 24, people are like, why does he got to act like this all the time? The shtick got old. I think that it could kind of be in similar taste, even though they have very different personalities.
Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, we haven't talked about this much, but like the whole plane thing that came out with Arden Key doesn't help him either. Like, even though that was not supposed to be.
That's just him. Like he's
right.
That's him. No one really had a problem with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? The bigger problem was it coming out, but
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. We are going to get into the Titans rookie class coming up next. Femi Oladejo is designated to return from the injured reserve, it's a good sign. I'm excited to see him out there. And you were out there at practice yesterday. It looked, at least from the videos that I saw, that he was looking like there's a chance he might play this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he showed every sign of being able to, move and be back out there. So, yeah, I think it was like a 40-second video I posted.
Yeah.
And a bunch of us posted them. So.
Right. And it's practice. There's a difference between that and being ready to go play a game. Yeah, we're talking about practice. But exciting to see him back out on the field because with Mike Borgonzi's draft class, there's been a lot of talk about it. Some people say it's amazing and we found the GM who's going to take us back, but there's also some flaws in it, and we're going to talk about all of it coming up in the final hour of the show. Looking forward to that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We want to get to all of your texts and calls. You can get those in on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on this Thursday morning. Next Man Up, 1025 The Game. Final hour on this Thursday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Been a fun show so far. Appreciate everybody getting their questions in for TD during Talk to TD. We've got TD for the next 2 segments before he's got to get over to practice. Wanted to dive in on this draft class, and we can start with Femi Oladejo because that's the reason for the conversation. He has missed the last 2 months. Last game he played was against the Raiders, where he fractured his leg. Been out since then, been on IR, but designated to return yesterday and back out on the practice field. I don't think anyone can expect Femi Oladejo to come back and, put up 3 sacks in the last 3 weeks, but it can be important for a guy to not have the last experience of his rookie season be getting injured. Just get the arrow pointing up in the right direction heading into his first full offseason in the NFL.
Yeah, just get him to build a little momentum, working into the offseason and carry that into the training camp, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, getting back out there, it's still, even though they're losing, there's no playoffs, it's still reps, the experience that you're getting. And that's something that Gunnar Helm told me about after the 49ers game, just the value of I understand the results aren't coming, but the value of getting those reps and continuing to get used to the flow of the game, the speed of the game, and just the way things work. Each time you go out there, you're going to benefit.
Yeah.
Reps are critical in everything, but at this level, like the more you do, the better it is for you.
And if you're a Titans fan out there, that's what you're watching in these games, is the young guys who you think are going to be part of the solution for this team. And a lot of it is this draft class. Cam Ward has played every game this year. You've gotten the 4th-round pass catchers out there. Marcus Harris getting a lot of run. It is disappointing for Kevin Winston, having worked his way back from the knee injury and finally was starting to be a consistent player for this team, to have the hamstring that ends his season. And you're going to have to wait until next summer to really get another look at what he can do.
Right. And he was starting to, it was cool to watch. He went through a little bit of a tough time, worked through it, right, with the 3 touchdowns that he gave up. And then you saw him play, somewhat of a different role as the nickel, and you seen him come up and trigger against the run. And so he's another one. Those reps are just going to help him, but unfortunately it's over for him. And, he's just going to have to get back, right, and make sure that he's good to go. But he's another one of these rookies. The good thing for them is they're going to get to actually train for football,
right,
as opposed to
for the
combine
draft
stuff. You know what I mean? So that should always help him.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, that with these rookies, you're drinking through a fire hose for well over a year. You're playing your senior season or your final season of college football, and you don't get a break. It's Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl, and then you're going to the combine, and then it's team visits, and then you get drafted, and it's mini camp and OTAs, and then you're playing again. It's got to be nice for these guys once they get through these last 3 weeks, and you can see it especially with a guy like Alec Iamaner, who got off to a great start this year, but he just seems to have run out of gas. Like just not the type of impact player that we've seen. He's making plays every once in a while. He had the touchdown against the Browns last week.
Really good route on that.
He had the chip on Myles Garrett. Like there are some plays where you're like, yeah, that's what we like about Alec Iamaner, but the consistency has definitely gone away as we've gone throughout the season.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, you hit the rookie wall. You know what I mean? So it kind of is one of those things that you go through, and it's different in year 2 because okay, I got to prepare for this,
right,
and this. Like, I know what happened now. Let me work on my strength. Let me work on my endurance, whatever. Areas just from having experienced it, areas that you have to improve.
And here's what it takes to get through 17 plus games. I mean, these guys have never played this much football in their entire lives. And I'm sure that it takes a lot, but looking at this rookie class, there's mixed opinions. A lot of people look at it and say, look at what Mike Borgonzi's done. All these rookies, they look great. But there's the flip side of that the day 3 guys have all looked like contributors. I mean, you look at all the day 3 picks, and I think there's hope for all of them, which is that's not typically something you can say even at the end of year 1 for a bunch of day 3 picks.
Yeah.
Chim has I mean, he's leading the league in all-purpose yards. Gunnar Helm, we talked about it. He's establishing himself as the tight end one of the future for this team. Alec Iamander looks to play a role at wide receiver, and he's had his moments. Marcus Harris has been a starting cornerback for you for the better part of this season. Jackson Slater's expected to move into the offensive line. You mentioned Khalil Mullings can be your short yardage guy. All those guys seem to be possible hits late in the draft. But general managers aren't typically judged on what they do in the 4th through 7th round. It's what you do in rounds 1 through 3. And although there's been flashes, I think, from all of them, and there's reasons for optimism for all 3 of those guys, Ward, Oladejo, and Winston, you definitely don't feel solid about all 3 of those guys ending up being hits for Mike Borgonzi right now.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential with Cam Ward,
Right.
a lot of potential, but there's definitely cause for concern as well. So he's had a rookie season that, you look at it and you look at the last couple rookie seasons, that you've seen Drake May, Caleb Williams, and you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe with the right environment, this could be elevated, So I think that's really the main thing you got to look at is a little more of a bigger picture. Don't make the rash decision now, but there's reason to be concerned. Obviously, with Oladejo, he hasn't shown you that he's going to be a 10-sack guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's shown you that he could set the edge and get some pressures, but he hasn't shown you that he could be that guy in the pass rush scheme.
Yeah, you look at those 3 picks from days 1 and 2, and I think that potential is the perfect word for all 3 of them.
Yeah,
because you look at all 3 of them and you
yeah.
say, these guys all have the talent and they've got the makeup to be starting level players in this league, and maybe more than that. Cam Ward, obviously, there's a throw or 2 every single game where you're like, man, that's why he went number 1. But of course, there's a throw or 2 in every game where you're like, what is he doing? And you got to be able to find more consistency. Femi Oladejo, I mean, you watch that guy get off the bus and you're like, well, that guy's going to be one of their best players. I mean, he is sculpted from marble, and like the physical traits are there for Femi Oladejo, but he's learning a new position. He got hurt 6 games in. Can he develop into, you said a 10-sack guy. I had this conversation earlier this week. Do you think that Femi needs to be a 10-sack guy with where he was drafted? Is that what you're expecting when you draft a guy mid to late 2nd round?
I think so. An impactful pass rusher. That's what it needs to be. Like somebody that, if it's not 10, like you got to at least put up a couple 8-sack seasons. Like,
if he is Derek Morgan, is that a good pick?
Yes.
Derek Morgan never had a 10-sack season.
I know, 9.5 though.
Yeah.
But Derek Morgan was an impactful player for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's look at his numbers. Yeah, because I know his career high was 9.5, but I mean, I think he gave you, and it's not all about sacks either. Let's make sure that we clarify that. You got to be someone, and that's why I keep saying playmaker. As an edge, like they want you to make plays on the opposition side of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I think Derek Morgan did that. I think Femi Oladejo showed signs that he could do that, and that's the main thing. You want to be that guy that's impactful from that perspective.
I think being Derek Morgan, Harold Landry level player would be great. And Harold Landry did have 2 10-sack seasons. So I think you'd like him to have at least 1. But if he's, for his career, if he's a 6, 7, 8-sack guy and can be one of your starting edge guys, you're not going to find the elite pass rusher in the 2nd round, in the late 2nd round.
Yeah, typically not. But yeah, you mentioned Harold Landry. I think that level of results would be perfect.
And you don't know if you're going to get that, because with Femi, he has made some plays early in the year, but most of them came when he was unblocked. It was those plays where they slide the line away, they boot the quarterback out, or they toss it to the running back on the other side. And he set the edge well. He made a play, but you're right. Something that once he gets back on the field, whether that's this week or next week, I'd love to see Femi go win against a tackle. Like,
Yeah.
give us
Whoop his
one or
butt.
two plays where you beat a tackle and you either get a sack or you force pressure or you do something to make us think, all right, he's starting to get it as a pass rusher, because this is a new position for him. But the only plays that we've really seen from Femi this year have been when he has been unblocked. He's made a nice play off of it, but he hasn't actually had
you
to
want
go
to see
win.
that win.
Yes.
Yeah. Understandable.
And with Kevin Winston, it's the same thing of like plenty of potential. He's made some plays, but the injuries are a concern. So you look at this draft class, and I think you can be really pleased heading into year 2 with them. There's no outright busts in this group yet,
Right.
which we've seen it here. Sometimes all it takes is 1 year, whether that's on the field stuff, injuries, off the field stuff. Sometimes 1 year is all it takes, and you've got multiple busts from your last year's draft class. This year, I think you look at all the guys we mentioned, all 9 draft picks. I think they're all pretty safe to make the roster next year.
Yeah.
And
I don't see why not.
that doesn't always happen.
No.
I mean, like Jaquan Jackson, he was a 6th-round pick 2 years ago. He didn't make the roster his second year. So I think you feel pretty good about where this draft class is headed, but obviously there has to be a lot of development. And as we said, Mike Borgonzi not going to be judged by Chimdike's success. He'll be judged by what Cam Ward and Femi Oladejo do as 1st and 2nd round draft picks.
Exactly.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to jump in on the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We've got TD for one more segment before he's got to head over to Titans practice today. We'll continue this conversation and get to some of your thoughts as well. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you. I'm surprised Parker didn't go Dreams and Nightmares here.
Shh, don't spoil anything.
This is TD's last segment with us. I guess he'll have to listen to it.
Oh,
on the
wait,
way.
really? Oh, I actually forgot.
Yeah.
I got a little Keisha Cole here.
It's okay. You'll hear it on the way over to the facility. So
because I'm so used to playing it last.
Right. Now TD with practice being just before noon, TD's gonna head out of here after this segment. So
we may have to squeeze it in before he leaves. Maybe to close out the segment.
There you go. We got a few more segments on the show, but TD heading out after this one. We're having the conversation around this Titans draft class, mainly about Femi Oladejo. I think he is kind of a linchpin of this draft. Of course, Cam Ward is the number one thing. If Cam Ward is a success, this draft class is a success. But I think if you're looking at the building blocks you need for this team, you had that pick at 35. You traded back to get the pick that was used to take Kevin Winston. But by doing so, you passed up on a lot of good players and took Femi Oladejo. You kind of need to be right on that one. And Indy Ben on the text line says, I've seen Chris Ballard draft too many raw pass rushers with traits. It usually doesn't work out. Guys with an established arsenal of moves and proof of getting to the quarterback consistently in college is what matters most. So the odds aren't in Femi's favor. And I would agree with that most of the good pass rushers in the NFL were good pass rushers in college.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I also understand that sometimes you bet on your ability to develop a young player who has the traits, and if you feel like you can teach them the pass rush moves, that they could be successful. That just has yet to be seen with Femi Oladejo.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's still time. Like, the guy's a rookie, and he hasn't even played, the full rookie season.
He's played 5 games.
Yeah,
5.5.
There's still time, and there's things that he's working on and he's learning, and sometimes all it takes, you learn 1 or 2 moves, and next thing you know, like, look at how many guys have worked with Von Miller, and they learn that ghost move, and they use it, and next thing you know, they elevate. You know what I mean? Or look at DeMarcus Ware, right? When he taught people the fake spin move, like he put a fake spin move on Joe Staley. And it was bad. Like, he came outside rush and faked like he was spinning to the inside, and Joe Staley spun to the inside, and he just had a free clear. Kaepernick had to get out of dodge, but still got sacked. So I think it's a matter of, you could learn moves that could add to your repertoire, but it's a matter of seeking out the right people.
Yes.
Right? And the thing I like about Femi, I remember in training camp talking to him about guys that he watched, and he mentioned Alden Smith. And I always love when guys mention someone other than the norm.
Right.
He obviously mentioned Max Crosby too, but he was like, before him, Alden Smith. And it's understanding how to use your length. You know what I mean? And that's something that he has. Like, he has long arms. He has a long body. He could use that to strike first. And then it's just, you got to learn, okay, after you strike, what do you do next? You know what I mean? So those are the things that he'll be able to pick up and carry through. And if I was him, I would go to Alden Smith. Lord willing, Alden Smith is in a better place than he was at one time. And if he is, like, that's something. I mean, go to him, right? And that's something Alden Smith helping him could find purpose again himself. So I say all that to say, you're right. Typically, guys know how to rush the passer coming out, but you could always learn new tricks and new things to add to the repertoire.
And excited to see Femi back out on the field, because again, it's something to pay attention to during these Titans games where they don't have anything to play for. Getting to see some of these young guys that hopefully show some strides and show some growth could be important through the final 3 weeks of the season. Speaking of pass rushers, there's the debate is going to rage on for the next 4 months until the draft. And I heard Robbie and Joe talking about this, not using names here specifically, but there are 2 positions that are getting talked about for the Titans pick, whether they pick at the top, whether they trade back a little bit. Wide receiver, edge rusher. What would you think is more important for the Titans? If you feel like you can get a star player at the top of the draft at either wide receiver or edge, which way do you think the Titans should go?
I'm going to go receiver. Just because you get a star receiver, you pair him with Cam Ward, and now that it elevates.
Yep.
And that's not to say an edge rusher, you know what I mean, won't elevate things too, pairing with Jeffrey Simmons. But it's been proven that you could to an extent, you can manufacture big plays offensively. But I just think for this team, getting a star receiver, because this organization, I mean, Derek Mason, A.J. Brown, Drew Bennett.
Crickets.
Right.
That's about it.
So if you could get a guy like Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon,
right?
You could get these guys. Obviously, Jeremy Bernard is my favorite in this draft. But I mean, if you could get a guy to come in and be tremendously impactful, it elevates everything.
Right. And I think the ideal scenario is you find a trade partner, maybe you pick up another first if it's coming from the Jets or the Browns or something like that, and you could get the edge rusher at 6 and you could get the wide receiver at 20 or whatever it ends up being. But if you only get one, I struggle with this because I have seen what having a dominant edge rusher can do for these other teams, and the Titans just haven't had that guy since the Freak, really? Like, is there anybody else who's been like a guy that you fear coming off the edge?
Not off the edge. There's got Jeffrey Simmons,
right.
Off up front. But to your point, yeah, my bad.
I think there's been a lot of really good pass rushers. Like Brian Arakpo had some good seasons here. Derek Morgan, Kyle Vanden Bosch had some good seasons. Harold Landry, of course, but nobody who it's like that is one of the top 5 pass rushers in football. And I think you may be able to find that in this draft. There's a lot of really good pass rushers at the top.
Nobody's talking about David Bailey from Texas Tech.
Right. Yeah.
That's another one.
Romello Height, too.
Height. Like,
there's a ton of good pass rushers.
So this is a good year to need a pass rusher. I just like Cassius Howell. To me, it's hard because it's like, okay, coming out of this draft with if you mentioned it, the buy one get one free, you trading the top pick away. Coming out of this draft with an Arvell
Reese and Mekhi
Lemon is sexy, right?
Yeah. And you still would have your pick at the top of the second round.
You know what I mean? And then you get Colton Hood, Carnell Tate, and Cassius Howell. That's sexy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like it's pick your flavor, right?
Yeah.
It's what but I am going to say I agree with you. Let's say the Titans have to stick and pick at 3. There's only 2 quarterbacks worth taking. They go 1 and 2, Mendoza and Moore, and you're kind of stuck there. No one wants to trade up, and you're choosing between Reese and Carnell Tate. Long way to go in the draft process. I don't know if that's going to be the way it sorts out. If you feel like they're pretty comparable in talent of like, hey, we're either getting a star pass rusher or a star wide receiver, whichever way we go. I agree, you go wide receiver because you've got to give your number 1 pick quarterback as much at his disposal as you can to prove that he's going to be the guy next year.
I agree to an extent, right? Because here's the thing. Typically, the best pass rushers outside of, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, typically the best pass rushers are high picks.
They're in the top 10.
So when you ask the question, what would help this franchise more? It would be a premier receiver. However, if I'm in a situation I got to stick and pick, I'm going Arvell Reese. I'm going outside backer because or edge rusher because
you can find a wide receiver in the second.
And you look at this group, I mean, you might be able to grab a Jeremy Bernard there. You know what I mean? Then and also you look at the free agency group, you could add I think Alec Pierce, you know what I mean? And as you mentioned, the 6 that you mentioned earlier, you know what I mean?
If that ends up being it,
that's feasible.
Right.
You could work with that, right? And I think second round, like I said, you could find some guys in the second round. You remember you're going to have a high second round pick,
right?
So if you don't move back, it's not the end of the world,
right? It would be ideal to pick up another first round pick this year or next year, where whoever's trading up to you, if you get their first round pick next year, they're starting a rookie quarterback. Jeremiah Smith sitting up there in the draft in 2027. Like that's tantalizing. But
imagine going into, but see, here's the thing also. And Jeremiah Smith, you know what's going to happen to him. And it's the prospect fatigue, man. And look, we sat here and we all said Marvin Harrison Jr. is otherworldly, and it just hasn't quite worked. It's still early. It's still early, but it hasn't quite worked out. So Yeah, you want Jeremiah Smith. That's the crown jewel of the
Yeah.
2027 draft. But there's some other guys too.
Right.
If Ryan Williams learns how to be consistent, you know what I mean? If Malachi Tony continues, like that
Is Tony a
roster-
true freshman though?
Yes.
So he won't come out until 2028.
Should be in high school right now.
Yeah. So we've
So,
got a couple
26,
more years to
27
wait
yeah,
on Malachi
yeah,
Tony.
Yeah. You're correct about that. You're correct
Yeah.
about that. But hey,
Set yourself up for the future.
there's a lot of options.
Right. Last thought here on this. You talk about those second round receivers. I brought up Chris Brazzell last week. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I want to say T. Higgins is kind of a comp that I have for him of like
Big fast.
like
yeah.
50-50 balls, it's 70-30 when you throw it up to him. Like that, I think that could end up being a guy that you go get in the second round. If you do stick and pick, and let's say you get Arvell Reese at 3. If you're there at 35, again, not knowing how all the draft boards are going to sort out, I like Chris Brazzell. I think that's a guy that you can have Cam Ward and, he's down there somewhere. Just throw it up.
Just throw it up. YOLO. I tell you another one. Louisville's Chris Bell. He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
But if you can manufacture a third-round pick,
yeah,
he's a player, man.
And I know people will get upset about don't draft injured players, and there's definitely a line. And
ACL injuries are different,
right?
bro,
And there are things that you don't want to touch. Looking back, Caleb Farley, back injuries, neck injuries, probably not the ones you want to touch. But yeah, a torn ACL. I mean, that's how you got Jeffrey Simmons. So maybe if you could get him in the third round or so. Kevin Winston too. Very similar. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take all of your thoughts. TD, thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thank you.
There you go.
Now, see, you about to make me go out on the road and drive in this?
Oh, yeah.
I
Gotta get you fired up for the press conference.
It was so
Let's
funny.
go.
I was about to wish you a Merry Christmas, and it's not like this is not the background music that I was expecting.
Yeah.
Well done, Parker.
Great
TD,
job.
we won't do a show next week
Yeah.
because of Christmas, but actually the week after New Year's Day is on a Thursday too, so it'll be a couple weeks. But enjoy the rest of the season. We will talk to you in a couple of weeks, and we will recap everything that goes down over the last 3 weeks of the season.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everyone. Be safe. Make wise decisions. Love on your loved ones. And remember, there is no such thing as a bad day.
There we go. No bad days. Turron Davenport joining us. We'll have a couple more segments on the other side. We'll react to everything TD had to say and look ahead to a great Thursday night football game tonight. We'll do that next. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you. Couple more segments on this Thursday. Chasing Big Joe coming up at the top of the hour. Always grateful to have TD in studio. Always great stuff from Turron. That conversation at the end there about the Titans draft strategy, and I know it's not draft season yet. We're still in December, but Parker, I'm starting to get to that point where I want to get into these things because it is exciting to look at this draft class and see the Titans' needs and where it might match up, especially with wide receiver and edge looking like they're going to be pretty deep positions in this draft.
Yeah, I'm not going to admit on the air how many mock drafts I've done so far.
Already?
It's kind of embarrassing. So,
I have not gotten to the mock draft simulators yet.
I'll leave that to the side. But yeah, I can't believe we're talking about this on December 18th. So,
I mean, when the team wins 5 games in
just so
almost
sad.
2 full seasons, it's all there is to talk about. You got to
so
find some hope.
We look so forward to football season every year, and then it gets here, and we're just like, man,
I
how
know.
many more games do the Titans have?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which game when you knew it was like over. I think it was the Colts game, honestly, for me. Was week 3.
Week 3,
Week
yeah.
3. I think that's when you were kind of just like, all right, well, it's going to be another one of those years.
No, that was definitely the case. And I was there, and I was like,
Me too.
man, this is a train wreck.
And, I realized that probably was it because I remember we had a Colts guest on that week, and it was like we were still actually previewing the games and like, hey, what might happen this week? And, after that, it kind of became, all right, when are they going to fire the coach and what are they going to do next year? But
it feels like forever ago since we talked about Brian Callahan's firing. It's aged us. This season has aged us.
Yeah. And, talking a little bit about the draft, it's fun to look at here because the Titans, no matter what happens, are going to have options. And I know fans out there are like, man, please don't win and ruin the draft pick, because you're right. There are certain wins that can cost you big time players, right? Like you look back, yes. Did you want to get a win in Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry's last game at Nissan Stadium against the Jaguars a couple years ago? 100%. But it might have cost you Malik Neighbors. And it's tough to kind of find that balance of, yeah, the team needs to win some games, but you might lose a couple of key players. And there's certainly some blue chip guys at the top of this draft. 8955 says, draft talk, don't make me change stations. I know we're trying to hold off.
We're trying,
but
we're desperately trying.
We got a little bite of it there with TD talking about it. And
here's what I will say. And I get this is probably not going to be popular among all the people who want the Titans to tank, but the Saints are playing some very good football right now. To them, winning means more, and building a culture in Kellen Moore's first year means more than getting the highest draft pick possible.
Yeah.
With the Titans, okay, let's look at the schedule. They have the Chiefs, Saints, and Jags. All 3 of those games, the Titans are probably going to lose. But that doesn't mean that they still shouldn't go out and compete to win, because wins do build confidence going into next year. And if the Titans really are this bad, it's all going to work itself out.
No,
and they're going to get a good draft pick.
And I do get that side of it too of, yeah, you want to go out there and build that winning culture, and you want Cam Ward and Chim Dike and all these young guys, you want them to get that confidence of winning some football games down the stretch and feeling like they're making progress. But I also understand the other side of it, and this is a comment we get a lot of, you've already fired the coach. The culture's changing no matter what. So are those extra wins going to really do all that much for you other than take away that chance to trade out and get a king's ransom for that pick?
For a rookie quarterback, I'd say yes.
I think that has value for sure. But you look at the Saints, first-year head coach Kellen Moore, you could argue that the way they're finishing this year and maybe having something with Tyler Shuck, that those wins are more important for them than for the Titans. But I don't know. There's 3 games left. We're going to see how they play out. Sunday is going to be very interesting. I am excited to see Femi Oladejo back out on the field, because it's another young piece that you hope is going to pop at some point. It may not be coming off the injury in the final 3 games of the year, but if you could see some progress, that'd be great. And I'm really intrigued by what the Chiefs look like on Sunday. I've said this all week because I think that's the storyline that just we have no idea what this Chiefs team looks like when they have nothing to play for. And especially with Minshew at quarterback, I really wonder if they come out and lay an egg.
I mean, I'd be lying to you if I say I know what the outcome of this game is going to be. I wouldn't bet a dime. If you're a betting person, I
Yeah.
would not bet a dime on this game because I don't know. I really don't know. I know the Chiefs' defense is pretty good, but without Mahomes, who was masquerading a lot of the issues that they have,
Right.
and they're out of playoff contention, I have no idea.
Yeah, and Andy Reid's a good coach. I do think Andy Reid, it's going to play a factor. I don't think he's going to let them come out and just go through the motions, but you just wonder if some of those bigger name players who are used to being Super Bowl or bust, are they really going to care all that much about this game? I don't know.
And think about it too. Like when you watch the Chiefs, they just look so tired out there. And that's because they've played over 80 extra games since Mahomes has taken over as the starter. Dude, all the playoff
that can't
runs.
Be right.
Oh, no, it's
80?
80. Yeah.
So 5
since the last time they missed the playoffs.
That's not true.
I'll find it.
80 extra games, maybe 80 extra games in playoff contention. Maybe that's what it is because they've been in playoff contention. But 80 extra games is the 5 full seasons. You would have to play 20 postseasons to get to 80 extra games.
I saw the stat on Twitter.
I think
I'm gonna double check.
I think it might be they've played 80 more games as a team in playoff contention because they've played, we went through it, like close to 200 straight games with a chance to win the Super Bowl. Like this is the first game since week 17 of 2014 that they have not gone in with at least a mathematical chance to win the Super Bowl. So we'll see. I do agree that they're tired though. Like they have not had a full offseason in a long time, having played in 8 straight AFC championship games, 7 straight AFC championship games. So it definitely can take a toll on them. And it'll be interesting on Sunday. Noon kickoff at Nissan Stadium. Titans are 2-12, and you win this game, you're pretty much guaranteed to not get the number 1 overall pick. You have to lose out if you're going to get the number 1 pick. But you win this game, you're putting yourself more in like the 4 to 7 range, most likely, depending on how the rest of the season sorts itself out. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Last call for phones. When we come back, a couple of news and notes, new name entering the transfer portal that we will talk about, and maybe one of the better Thursday night football games we've had in a long, long time. Rams and Seahawks for the NFC West lead in week 16. Cannot wait. We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final segment on this Thursday. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you. Got the Thursday night football music going. Big one tonight. Rams and Seahawks. And this game has a little bit of the feel of that Vikings Lions game from last year. That game, obviously, in week 18, it was,
Phenomenal.
win and you get the 1 seed. But the winner of this game's got the inside track to get that first round bye. So very excited for this one coming up tonight, Rams and Seahawks. Who are you leaning towards, Parker? I mean, both teams have been great this year. I think I trust the Rams a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm torn on this because the Rams already won this matchup that was played a little bit earlier in the season.
Yeah. This
The
is in
Seahawks
Seattle
are
tonight.
It's in Seattle, which is one of the toughest places to play in the entire league. Seattle is a very good football team. However, I trust Matthew Stafford right now, the way he's playing immensely. So I'm going with the Rams.
Yeah, it's going to be close. It is tough to win on the road on Thursday nights too. So it's going to be a good game. I can't wait to watch Thursday night football tonight, Rams and Seahawks. And there haven't been great primetime games. And looking ahead to next Thursday, the Christmas slate, I can understand why they picked these games for Christmas. Like on paper, heading into the season, it looked like it was going to be a good idea. But man, none of them have turned out to be very good. We got Cowboys and Commanders on Netflix on Christmas. And I mean, rivalry matchup, sure, but Jaden Daniels isn't going to play. Lions and Vikings. Lions
That
are
one
still,
has a chance.
that one
to
has
be
a
good.
chance to be okay.
Like if the Vikings play how they did on Sunday night versus the Cowboys, that one has a chance to be good.
And then the one that has turned into just a horrible game, Broncos and Chiefs, which again, on paper, looked like it was going to be great. Broncos, maybe the best defense in the league. Bo Nix in year 2. And it's the Chiefs. If you're looking for the safest bet to put a team in primetime late in the year, it's always been the Chiefs over the last 10 years. And they're eliminated. Gardner Minshew's going to start at quarterback. So at the very least, we got a good Thursday night game tonight. Rams and Seahawks for the NFC West lead. Some news around college football. We are keeping an eye on the transfer portal. Already some big names that have announced they are planning to jump in. Of course, DJ Lagway, Dylan Raiola, former 5-star quarterbacks, have already announced their intent to transfer. Today, another kind of big name quarterback, Parker, Bo Pribula from Missouri, has announced that he plans to enter the transfer portal. And there's a school out there that I think there's a little connection with that might end up being the answer for Bo.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. Because guess where Bo Pribula played before? He was at Penn State under
Happy
James
Valley.
Franklin. So I don't know. Maybe that's something to keep an eye on there. But the transfer portal, we've said it all week as these names have started to go in. It's going to be wild this year with the one window. So you've got to make a decision one way or another coming up January 2nd. So 2 weeks from tomorrow is when it'll open up. And I think there's going to be a lot of surprise names that go in. We've already gotten some big ones, and it's going to be basically full-on free agency frenzy like in the NFL when that transfer portal opens. We did get a text from Matthew in Nashville on a similar note, and apologize. He wanted to get this for TD. But he says, do you agree or disagree that it's getting ridiculous at this point that so many quarterbacks are now suing for 6th and 7th years of eligibility? We all agree that the NCAA leadership is a joke, but they cannot allow unlimited eligibility, in my opinion. That opens another Pandora's box.
Simple as that. I don't like it either.
Well, and the way that they're doing this is by saying that the NCAA is limiting their wages as employees by the way that they're enforcing these eligibility rules. But at some point, it's got to be college athletics. Like, yes, these players are getting paid for NIL, and there's rev share, but you got to have a limit on it somewhere, and maybe that has to come from Congress, but you've got to find a way to limit this. You can't have TJ Finley playing for a 7th team in 6 years.
At some point, it just gets utterly ridiculous, and you got to consider the kid, too. And if you're transferring to 7 schools in 7 years, I'm sorry, but there's no way that you could possibly graduate. And think about, too, like when a kid goes out and his college career is done, he goes out to get a job and he starts out making $40,000, $50,000 a year and was like, oh, well, I was making more when I was playing college football or college basketball. Why don't I try to go back? It's just not setting up the kid for success.
Yeah, it's a short-term advantage for these players, I guess you could say. Like in the short term, these guys are like, let me make as much money as I can right now while I have the opportunity. And good on them, because for years they weren't allowed to. And now that these big money contracts are getting put out there, you should take advantage, because you are making the money for all of these schools and for the NCAA and the TV contracts and everything. You're making all that money by your play. But in the long term, I agree with you. Is this the best long-term solution for these players, where they're just trying to maximize their profits in college when you got a long time to live after you leave those halls, and you've got to be able to set yourself up for success? Yeah, that money is great. And it's going to give you a nice safety blanket depending on how much you make and how many years you play. But is it setting you up for success in the long term?
That's why we need people in charge who, one, have the student athlete's best interest in mind, because this is the people that are in charge don't really care about, okay, how can I help the student athlete? But instead, how can I benefit monetarily from this? That's why all these lawsuits are going on. But if you have the best interest of the student athletes in mind, we wouldn't be having as many of these issues. Sure, people are going to have opinions, but a lot of it would be limited because we're doing what's best for the people actually playing the game.
Yeah, I think they need to go to 5-5. Like they play.
Man.
You got 5 years to play 5 seasons. If you're healthy and you're ready to play as a freshman, and you can play all 5 years, and you want to play all 5 years, great. You're able to do that. But get rid of waivers. If you get injured 1 year, great. That's worked into that 5-year deal. And there are obviously going to be specialty situations, but if they spell those out specifically of like, hey, if you miss 3 full seasons due to injury, we'll grant you an extra year or something like that. The medical red shirt can maybe still stay, but 5-5, I think, is the way to go.
I like the traditional 4 red shirt. That's my thing. I don't have much of a pushback. I like the original. You get 4 years. You get that red shirt year. If you get injured, obviously that there's a special case for that. I think it's a gray shirt. So
I think it leaves a bunch open to interpretation when you do that. And I would love to just say, hey, you've got 5 years, and unless something completely out of the ordinary happens, after 5 years, you have to be gone.
But we can both agree that we need contracts.
There's got to be
collective bargaining.
There has to be some sort of,
and I think that'll come at some point. I just don't know when, but it'll come at some point.
9484 on the text line says, aren't you for your favorite quarterback ever, the idiot Pavia, playing until he's 45 for Vanderbilt?
If it were up to him, he would.
Okay, well, first of all, Diego Pavia is not my favorite quarterback ever, but I would advocate that he should have won the Heisman Trophy. And no college athletes should be playing. I think, honestly, how about this? Dead stop at 25. Like, there should not be anybody above the age of 24 playing college athletics.
North Texas had a quarterback by the name of Mason Fine 2 years ago who was 29, and he was playing college football.
I guess maybe there's the example of like, the Australian guys come over and they're 29 years old or something like that. But like, we should not be having 26-year-olds and 27-year-olds still playing college football who have been there since they were 19.
Agreed.
Crazy stuff. Tonight, Vanderbilt women's basketball at home, 6:30 tip against Albany. So if you want to come out to Memorial Gymnasium, we'd love to have you. I'll be on the air at 6:15 over on 94.9 The Fan. Vandy trying to get to 11-0. A couple more games before the holidays. One more on Saturday against Texas Southern. That'll do it for us today. Tomorrow on the show, Max Hers is with us from 9 to 10. Connor Newt will be with us from 10 to 12. Chase and Big Joe coming up next. Keep it right here on 102.5 The Game.